Hi, my name is Ash and I work as a solutions engineer here at ClickUp. In this video, I'll be walking you through how you can use ClickUp for Agile development. So this video will be broken down into 4 sections: backlog management, sprint planning, road mapping, and reporting. So let's dive in. To facilitate backlogs, we need to first and foremost create a mechanism for us to get items into our backlog. ClickUp makes it super easy using a ClickUp form. So users across the business can ideate and submit feature requests in today's example, align them to specific areas, and you can really detail out all the information that's important for you to capture during this form process. Once these requests are submitted, these will enter a backlog. And this is where ClickUp's hierarchy really shines in making it easy for you to organize all of your work. So let's walk through that. In this hierarchy, we've got a space which is dedicated to our product team. Within that, we've got our master backlog, which is where we're tracking all of our backlog items. And then you'll notice that we've got different folders to track different squads and development teams that work within our development org. Because we have different teams looking after specific areas of the product, we've broken these out, making it easy for them to just focus on what they need to work on. Now, why this is super helpful is once an item comes into our master backlog, using automations, ClickUp has the ability to have a task live in multiple places. So for instance, I've clicked into this epic, which is Enhanced Commerce Site for UX. And you can see at the top of the screen, it lives in the master backlog, but it also lives in the task squads backlog, meaning this item can live in multiple places. This makes it easy for visibility and allow teams to only focus on what they need to when they're working on developing items and software. So within here, if I come into here, you can see this lives within the master backlog. And from within the master backlog, this is a view of all of our backlog items. I can track all of my epics, the stories that form those epics as subtasks. And I can categorize these different ways and prioritize in different ways. So if I prefer using t-shirt sizing over Moscow, if I want to use waiter's shortest job first, or if I want to use rice, if I want to instead use Kano prioritization, plus more. So it's really flexible to allow you to manage your work and plan and prioritize your backlog items appropriately. Now, as I mentioned, if we come into the task squads backlog, you can see there are specific items and epics and stories that are relevant just for those teams to work on. So as I mentioned, if I click into this, I can again see this specifically within the task squads backlog. So the team that work on this can just focus on this without getting distracted with all the noise that's in the master backlog. You can see we've got a comment here with some wireframes we're working on for this particular story, an epic from Figma. And I can use ClickUp AI to get a quick summary of what we're discussing in this thread with my colleagues. This saves me time and lets me easily see what's happening within this communication thread. Now, when it's time to start planning our sprints, we can come into our sprints list. So first and foremost, what we've covered so far is general kind of backlog management, how ClickUp can facilitate this, make it really easy for you to organize your work. Now we're going to dive into a bit of sprint planning. So within here, you can see if you create a sprint folder, you can set up sprint settings. So these are automations to make your life easier for sprint planning and development. You can set up durations, the start and end dates, set up your non-working days, how you want to measure your effort, and also some helpful features such as marking when sprints are done, moving spillover items to the next sprint cycle if you wish to, and also creating new sprint lists once a sprint is complete. The benefits of this is this makes it automated, so your sprint planning can be done really easily and effortlessly without you having to come in and manually move items from one sprint to another or manually create new sprint lists. So if I dive into sprint number 1, you can see I'm using a Kanban here, and I'm using our swim lanes feature to slice and dice this view. Because I have multiple development teams working on this particular sprint, I can easily group this by the development team and see which of my developers are working on which story, and the progress of that story easily within a dashboard. If I want to run stand-up meetings, I can do this easily for a given sprint using our Kanban as well. I can even set limits for how many items one of my developers are working on. From within here, I see a similar view of the information that I want to track, and I can add even more information if I wish to. As I'm running through my sprint meetings or my stand-up meetings, I can toggle on and off different team members to see who's working on what as we have our discussion in the morning. If I want to track any resources, I can even track my resource planning within here to see if my development team have capacity. So you can see here, I'm grouping this by one of my front-end developers and my back-end developers, which are different teams that I'm assigning and grouping this workload view within ClickUp. And to do that, you can add and select our workload view. And then I'm just measuring the level of effort by story points. Notice you can use story points, or you can use a number of the time estimate for measuring the effort for these items. As my team are working on particular items, we're also going to be connecting with CI/CD tools. This will allow us to manage our code and connect it with ClickUp. So in this example, we're looking through GitHub. So within here, we can synchronize our pull requests, our branches and commits, have our task ID linked up, and connect all of the items together, meaning we don't have to duplicate items from one system to another, and all of the information is contextualized within the task. This helps developers plan, prioritize, and work on execution code and doing their work inside the CI/CD tools, and allow product teams and product managers to plan and prioritize all of the items inside of ClickUp effortlessly. So that's sprint planning. Next, we're going to focus on a little bit of road mapping, how ClickUp makes that really easy. So within here, we've got another folder for roadmaps. Because in ClickUp, we can roll up information. You can have lists as different, you can have quarters broken down like this if you do your road mapping by quarter. And this is just an idea for why this is super helpful, is if you want to dive into a specific list to see what are we specifically planning to ship in Q1, you can see all of the items and the progress for those and which team they belong to. But if you want to see a global view, you just come to the folder, because this will aggregate information from all 4 of these lists. So this shows what's happening for the year, and I can do this by team and see what's happening for Q1, Q2, and the release status of those items, the latest comments and dependencies, a roadmap, so I can easily see a Gantt view of what's happening where. And also, if I want to use ClickUp Doc, these are a great way to track and communicate your release notes with your different team members and external audiences as well, making this super seamless and having everything contained within one system, which is ClickUp. So that's a quick overview of road mapping. The final thing is reporting. So ClickUp facilitates and makes it really easy for you to get the types of reporting you'd expect for Agile development, such as sprint burn up and burn down, velocity across your team and sprints, cumulative flow, lead, cycle time, all of the types of reporting that any Agile team would expect from a tool like ClickUp. Make it super easy. All you have to do is add a card, select which list you want to pull from and which sprint, and it'll aggregate the data for you. So that's a quick overview of how to use ClickUp for Agile development, from backlog management, sprint planning, road mapping, and reports. Thanks for watching.